So here we're going to go through how to fine tune a duck call. The main principles of tuning a call: always make sure to take the reed, find the natural bend, put the natural bend down first to the tone board, just like that. But make sure the reeds are always to the back of the cork slot and centered with the call. Same goes for a double reed call. Make sure the dimple is always down. And just place the dimple down. And always make sure your reeds are to the back of the cork slot and centered. Just like that there. Then just take your wedge here. Just place that to the back of the cork slot like this. Now duck call reeds are going to last a year or two. Depends how much you blow them. Sometimes if you get them really dirty, you can always just wash your call out with a little soap and water. And you always want to make sure this tone board is clean. Just a little soap and water always helps. It goes a long ways to keep your call clean, because it will start sounding different if you have some debris and just built up saliva and muck in there. So you can always wash out a little soap and water. Your Santoprene wedges are going to last, they're going to last for a while. You're not going to really have to worry about changing these out. And these are what come standard in all of our calls, and that's why we use them. But some guys really like using cork wedges. Sometimes to get these in the call, you're going to have to bite them a bit and put in your mouth and chew them a bit. They do fit, but sometimes you want to get them a little bit wet in your mouth. And these mostly fit our open tone and timber tone calls. These will fit a pure mallard insert, but you're going to have to make them a little skinnier. We don't often use those in a pure mallard, so it will fit, but you're going to have to really cut the cork. So when you got that cork in there, you can just cut it off like this. Get it to the cork slot, and then you can just tune it like that. Do it the other side the same way here. Just like that. So to fine tune a call, we went through in our video how to install duck reeds on a tutorial page. You can watch that video if you just want to install duck call reeds. But when we get into fine tuning duck call reeds, this is when you are not buying the pre-cut duck call reed kits, and now you've probably just purchased the uncut duck call reeds here, and these are where they're uncut, and you're going to have to cut them to tune them. So you place them in the call, and with this being uncut, this is way longer than our standard duck call reed here, as you can see. So there's a lot of tunability for guys if they want to tune their calls themselves, and we recommend probably buying 3 reeds, just in case. You never know if you cut one too much or you just want to keep tuning. So keep that in mind too. So we recommend getting a couple, because there's a little bit of trial and error into doing this. So, and we're going to go through cutting a duck call reed. So here we'll put in our reed. We'll put in our wedge. So this duck call reed, being totally uncut, it's going to take a lot of air to blow, and it's going to have a really deep sound. It's going to sound terrible, and I'll show you how to cut these reeds. As you can tell, these ones are not cut, and this is when you get into fine-tuning duck calls. So let's take the insert out here. And when you're cutting the duck call reed, you're just taking a very slight amount off. At the start, you're going to take off quite a bit here. And you just want to take off little bit amounts. When you start getting down to where the call sounds good, you basically take off just the same, just tiny cuts, like the size of a human hair, or probably like 5/1000ths of an inch. It doesn't take much. Once you start getting to that, like you're getting in the proper tone range for the call, you want to get almost to where the scissors can't cut the reed at all. It's very cutting it very fine. And this is for guys who want to tune their call a lot. They're going to buy lots of these uncut reeds and they can play with their call, tune it the way they want. And then at the end of this, once you get the proper tone, you're going to keep cutting it down till the call gets easier to blow and it's not as deep and loud. And that deep, taking lots of air to blow. Then when you get to the proper range, you just can clip the ears here. And this is just dog earing the reed. So then you take it, just snip the ears. Just a little 45-degree angle like that, then you're good to go. For the double reeds, we recommend just buying the double reed kit, just the double reed, and you often don't tune these as much. And so basically, just your first single reed is the call, or the reed that gets tuned. So other ways to tune a duck call. When you're starting to really fine tune, you can always trim the wedge too. And this is where guys do like cork wedges, so they're a little bit easier to cut. But you can do it with Santoprene wedges too, but cork is more disposable, and if you really get into fine tuning, you can use more of these. So you can always trim the wedge a tiny bit. And some guys even goes as far as sanding on the tone board. Your call will sound good coming out of the box, but some guys like to sand on the tone board even just a couple thousandths of an inch. And that's where the difference is here. If you sand in the front of the tone board here, it's going to be a little bit more raspy. And if you sand on the top end of the tone board here, just with some light sandpaper, that call is going to sound a little bit flatter. That's where you get the nasally mallard hen sounds, and that's where it's a little bit more whiny. So keep that in mind too. And you can play around with that. Don't sand too much because you're going to wreck the call. But hope that helps, guys. Have a good one.